everyone. So today I thought I would do a video on my infertility struggles. So back in 2009, my now husband and I decided that we'd been together for a few years. He'd just come out of the army, we'd got our first home together, that we might have wanted to start a family. So we went in a rush. I'd been on contraception, so we knew that was going to take a while. So we just stopped using protection. And then I'd always suffered really badly with my periods. I'd started them when I was 14. They were always really heavy, really painful. I had a lot of time off school because of them, because I would leak and I sometimes couldn't stand up. I would just be like doubled over. Every time I went to the doctors, I got fobbed off. They were like, you know, just need to get over it. Basically, I didn't really have very understanding doctors. I didn't really have lady doctors, to be honest with you. They were men. Whether that's got something to do with it, but we'd been trying for around a year, and I'd had some real bad pain again. My periods weren't getting any better. They kept saying to me that maybe my periods were bad initially because I was young and I just started, and they might start to ease off, and they didn't. I went back to the doctors, and by some miracle, my doctor wasn't there that day, and I had a stand-in. So I explained to her what had been going on, and she was quite concerned, and she felt my stomach, and it hurt for her to feel, and she said she was going to refer me to a specialist at my local hospital to see why, for one, because I was we're both healthy and young, that we hadn't conceived yet when it had been over a year, and two, why I was getting all the pain that I was. So I went for a consultation initially, and they decided that the next step would be to have a laparoscopy. So for those of you who don't know what laparoscopy is, it's keyhole surgery. So they go through your belly button, just under your belly button, actually not through your belly button, and you also have two other holes just here. Well, they'll put sort of cameras in, and their tools that they sort of blow you up so that they can have a look around. They put a dye through your tubes to make sure your tubes are okay, and they have a look around and see if there's anything causing any problems. This is how they diagnose endometriosis, amongst other things. As also when they do bowel surgery and things, I think they also do them through laparoscopy, maybe for diagnostic initially if they have to go in again. They found out that my tubes were blocked, really badly blocked, so they just sewed me back up. They said the dye didn't go through at all. I had a lot of scar tissue. I was just really blocked up, and my only way for me to go forward would be to have IVF. So I was 19 at the time, 19 going on to 20. So they said I wasn't allowed to go through IVF on the NHS until I was 23. But he said he'd put me on the list now, and that when I become 23, I would hopefully be top of the list, because I'd have been on there for around 3 years, and that is around the waiting list. So I'd be top of the list. I'd be ready to just get started as soon as my birthday. So that was nice, but it was also a bit frustrating because I wanted it to happen now. Once you get told you can't have something, then you get a bit frustrated and you want it to happen. I did explore and ask him about having tubal surgery, but he said it was a really out of date thing to do, very painful. He wouldn't recommend it, and he said, why, when you can have IVF for free for one go on the NHS. So I was in actually a good postcode. I could have 3 if my first one didn't work, but luckily it did work first time for me. So I waited till I was 23. My 23rd birthday was in the August, and in the January my first appointment was ready for me. So I went in January. I had my initial blood tests. My husband had his sperm checked to make sure there's no issues there, and there wasn't, luckily. I had internal scans, so they need to do a scan on to check your ovaries, and they get you to go in, I think, a certain part of your cycle so they can see how your body reacts naturally in the cycle, and how you are with eggs and things, to see if you're suitable for IVF or ICSI or whatever else there is. I went in, and when they do the internal scans, so it's, you still have the jelly and stuff, but they have to go vaginally rather than when you have your baby, then they do it actually on your abdomen. It's not the nicest thing, but it, you know, they explain everything to you as you're going through. And then obviously after that appointment, they have an idea of what sort of drugs they have to put you on ready for your IVF. So after that, they obviously explained everything to me. A couple of weeks later, when I think it's your first day of your period, that you are on your first start of the IVF cycle. So you have nose sprays and stuff, and then you go onto your injections. You get like a box of a special courier brings it to you with all like ice and stuff in there to keep it all cool with your medicines. It comes in quite a big box. You get a lot of stuff. I think I was on quite a high dose. The injections were horrible. I think I'm a bit of a wuss anyway, but having to inject yourself in the stomach, I tried to get my husband to do it. He did it once and I just couldn't stand him doing it. I tried to do it and I did hurt. So I ended up going to Boots, chickening out really, and getting some numbing cream. It's about £5 I think if you ask them. And I'd put that on for half an hour before, and then I would inject myself. And then when all that's over, you go in for your egg collection. When I went in for mine, it was a pleasant experience. I didn't have any discomfort or anything. They put you to sleep, you wake up, you do, and it's happened. I had no problems afterwards either. I had more problems when I had, discomfort when I had my laparoscopy. So yeah, I got 5 eggs out, which isn't really great. They were okay to be made into embryos. So you go home then, and then there's day 3 or day 5, I think. Well, they'll put them back in for you. So we got a phone call on day 5, I think, and there was only 2 embryos that were good enough to put back in. And they asked me, did you want to have 2 put in? Obviously, if you do, there's the risk of having twins. I didn't mind. I was just grateful to have this chance to have IVF, and I thought, well, if I have 2, then it's meant to be, and if I have 1, it's meant to be. And if it doesn't happen, then I knew I had another chance. They put 2 in, and when I went for my first scan, you go for a little bit of an earlier scan. I think you get 2-week wait, and then you take a pregnancy test, and then you ring the clinic to let them know whether you are pregnant or not. And if you are, then you go in for your another internal scan, because they're too small to pick up on ultrasounds. So I had that, and yeah, 1 took, and it looked really healthy. When you first go in, you just see like a little white flicker on the screen to say there's a little heartbeat there. Obviously you can't hear anything by that stage, so that was good. You then are monitored I was monitored quite regularly through my pregnancy. I was so lucky that it happened first time. I know that doesn't happen a lot for people. I know it's a really long and horrible road for a lot of people, and I am really grateful that it only took the 1. So I got pregnant in the February, and on the 20th of November I had my baby boy. He was 7 pounds 13 ounces. I had him at 11:05 at night. So the birth, I had an epidural. It was it was great. Really, I didn't feel much. I know some birth stories are horrific from some of my friends, but yeah, I had it. I was scared, obviously, like everybody is going in, but mine was okay. After having my son last year, so he's 4 now, so last year when he was 3, I had to go in for I was still getting loads of pain. I didn't know. Everyone kept telling me, when you have a baby, your pain stops. You're not in as much pain afterwards. I was still, when my monthly cycles come around, I was in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain anyway, sometimes not even then. I had to go in for another laparoscopy, and they wanted to see if the pregnancy had stretched my tubes at all as well, to see what the situation was there, but I just really wanted to get answers to the pain. I went in, and when they opened me up, they said I had lots of scar tissue still, and it was all wrapped around my bowel. And they said that might have been the cause to the pain, and obviously having a lot of bowel issues and irritable bowel and food intolerances, I did wonder whether this might have been the answer to that as well. So they cut it all off my bowel, and it all went. They did it in the laparoscopy there, and then I didn't have to go back for anything else. They still did the dye checks again, and my tubes were still completely blocked. They said that they would try and open them by sticking something down and prising them slightly open, but they said that there was no chance of that happening. Unfortunately, it was in the middle of the tube that I was blocked rather than one of the ends, and it was quite severe. So going forward, if I wanted to have another child, which is something that I would like to do at some point, I would have to have IVF again. Funds aren't there at the moment, so you know, I will have to I'm grateful that I've got one, to be honest with you. Some people don't even get that chance, so yeah, going forward it would be nice in the future. Again, my egg situation, only having 5, I don't even know if it would be possible if I had the funds, but it'd be nice to think that that might happen in the future. So yeah, I wish anyone all the best in their fertility journeys, and if you have any questions at all, or you're unsure about the IVF journey, or I haven't elaborated enough on something, if you need the support, I have got support groups on Facebook. I've just done them today, so I don't even think I've got any members in there at the moment, but if I found when I went through IVF that I was in so many IVF groups, but a lot of them were full of like American people, and their IVF is slightly different to us. I found it a little bit it's contradicting to the way the UK is. I think their laws are slightly different over there to here. So yeah, I've done a group here, hoping that a lot of them will be the UK, so that you can all support each other and answer questions that each other have. I can try and help as much as I can. I'm sure there's other people that have been through it, maybe even more times than me, that could help, or you know, just answer questions, because I found groups really handy when I was first going for IVF to understand it, because I really didn't know the process. I think when you're in the office and they're talking to you about IVF, it kind of goes over your head a bit. And yeah, it's really hard to take everything in. They give you a few leaflets and stuff, and then you find horror stories online, and you find how some people have been in loads of pain with it, some people have been nothing at all, some people have great experience, some people have horrible experiences. I think it depends on the clinic you're in. Yeah, so just be great if we could support each other through it, and hope that everybody has a positive experiences they can, because it's, you know, when you see people that just seem to get pregnant really easily, and you know, mistakenly, or maybe even when using contraception, and they don't sort of value it. I'm not saying that everyone's like that, because they're not. Some, you know, people take them as blessings, other people just, you know, can be very annoying, and life's not fair. So yeah, if we can just try and keep spirits high going through it. The last thing you need when you're going for IVF is stress and upset. You know, it's upsetting enough as it is. So it'd be nice to keep spirits as high as they can and answer questions and support each other. I think that's what's needed through it. So I hope I've answered questions and, you know, given you my fertility journey. If you want to share yours on the page, please go ahead. It'd be lovely to hear other people's stories. So yeah, thank you.